I want to call the September 7th, 2017 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. Commissioner Wathen, would you lead us in a prayer and the pledge, please?
Yes, please pray with me. Dear God, our Father, thank you for all of the blessings that you have given this great country. Thank you for our military, our police, our firemen, and our first responders. Please continue to give them the strength that they will need to protect us. Please help those affected by the Hurricane Harvey and Irma. Give them the strength to work through the hardships that will come their way. Give them the perseverance that they will need to put their lives back together. Give the citizens of America charity in their hearts so they will continue to support those in need. We ask that you help the citizens of America to stop the terrible destruction of our families. Please protect our poor and mistreated children and allow the burdens of their lives to be softened. As always, we ask that you help the members of this court to be good stewards of all that has been placed in our care. Help us to always make great decisions that will reflect your will. We pray this in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Jenny, if you would allow me, Commissioners, we have several folks out here who would like to speak under public comment. Rather than have them sit through what will be a long and boring meeting when we talk about manure spreaders and hay balers, if I could have a motion to move the public comment section to the first item on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Just a word before we start. I want to say that I appreciate all those folks who have contacted me either by email, most of them by phone calls, regarding several issues. I appreciate the civil manner in which our discussions took place. And if anyone is here to talk about our Confederate statue, then I would request that you do the same. And when someone with one opinion is speaking, please give them the courtesy not to interrupt. And I would ask both sides to do that. There is one gentleman here that I know is not here to talk about the statue, so I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to let him get up and he can say his piece. He actually came to ask me to raise his taxes. Jim, I have his name and his address, and I want you to take care of that for us. Yes, sir.
My name's Tom Turner. I live out in Old Masonville Road on 231, and I've got a petition circulating around there, and I've been asked by our little community out there to come here to present this and ask for assistance. I know you can't pass a proclamation or anything like this for this, but I guess we're asking for some representation on this for our community as we are a part of the Daviess County community. And if you would bear with me while I read this petition that's going around, it said, there's an area in Daviess County that is so close to the modern world, and yet we might as well be deep in a jungle having to use bongo drums to communicate with the modern world. Although we are in most cases right off major state highways and county roads, and in some cases less than 1 mile from where they cut off the opportunity to have these services, we lack the ability to be able to have what most take for granted in the way of internet services. Both AT&T and Time Warner Spectrum do not feel that it is profitable enough for them to provide that service to hundreds of people in our area. We have tried for several years begging, pleading, calling, writing, asking for them to bring us to the 21st century with everyone else. We are made up of business professionals, doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, professors, teachers, students, all of whom need and in some cases must have access to dependable internet service. We, the below signed, humbly ask that the decision to provide that service to our area not be totally based on how much money they can that it can be made, not for profit, but more about providing a service to a whole community. That they already make a lot of money from. We feel that when they chose to come into our community, they were saying that they wanted to become a valued partner in the growth of our community, in which they are now a part of. We only ask that they provide the same opportunity for all of us in Daviess County. We need the service only they can provide. Thank you for your consideration. This is, I fully expect to have several hundred signatures. I've got a few here. But at the end of the day, we've tried everything on the outside to try to get these people to run. And I am less than 1 mile from 11 meg, and another mile that way to at least 11 meg. We get, in my area, 763 kilobytes. You might as well use the bongo drums.
And it gets worse when the kids get home from school and people start downloading movies.
Well, they can't do homework.
Right.
They can't, like, and I'm a operations manager for RefTech International. I do business all over the world, and I have to drive in town to go to my office to be able to send out emails. And
Just
so,
a couple comments,
Yes, sir.
and I will pass first of all, you don't need a petition. You've already petitioned the court in your request. So we don't, I once was asked how many names are necessary on a petition for you to take action. We don't govern by petition. So, but you're doing that yourself. You're coming and asking us for something. I can speak to it a little bit because I am the chair of Connect Grad, that 20th century archaic internet provider. We share your frustration. I don't know how many times that we have talked to AT&T and to the other providers, and it is strictly profit driven. I voted against allowing them to do away with their wire phones, landlines, particularly up in eastern Kentucky, because our eastern Kentucky brethren have a really hard time with cell service, but they continually say it's all going to cell. We will make, David, if you would, we will make that request. We'll note your request. We'll call them. I hold very little hope that they will do anything. And the reason I'm saying that, you would think as they widen Highway 54, that would be the time to do a lot of that. We can't even get them to do that.
well, the frustrating part about it is, from where we live in that area, AT&T ran us over 3 miles away to Habit.
Yep.
So our internet service just dropped to 0. Yep. They can go 1 mile north, 1 mile south, and there's a hub box there.
Yep.
All they got to do is detour it to either way, and they won't do it.
One of the things we've been trying to do with Connect Grad, which is a consortium of the 7 Green River area development districts, Hancock, Ohio, Daviess, Union, McLean, Webster, and Henderson. We've been trying to get them to sell us the ability to connect into their hub so that we could provide through Connect Grad much faster service, and they won't even return the phone calls. So share your frustration. Don't know what I can do for you. I can raise your taxes. I've got that power.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines that you get taxes on the bill.
Yeah, I understand.
If there's
Commissioner?
I was just going to say that there's a few other pockets that suffer like you do. As
Oh,
far
I know
as
there is.
Oh, yeah.
There's several.
some in West Davis County, I know, out by Schoolhouse Road, Hall School Road. So, you know, it's not just unique for your geographical
Well,
location.
I'm very much aware of that. But it's I would sincerely appreciate it if there's any arm twisting you can do through a request or memorandum or whatever.
Sure.
It would be greatly appreciated, because we are literally barking up a tree.
Okay. I will take that under advisement and see what we can do.
I appreciate the court's time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Since my favorite pastor, Pastor Randolph, is in here, and I know that she would like to address the court, Pastor, I'm going to allow you to come forward and talk to us.
Good evening, everybody. I have just a prepared statement with some requests in it.
Could you hold just a second? Is the little green light on?
Yes.
Okay, I'm having a hard time here. Are you hearing her okay? Okay, go ahead, Pastor.
For those that don't know who I am, I'm Reverend Rondalyn Randolph, the pastor of Pleasant Point Baptist Church, and also president of Owensboro NAACP Branch 3107. Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. I stand before you asking the county commission and judge executive to consider starting the process of alternative placement of the Confederate statue on the county courthouse lawn. At the NAACP's annual executive board meeting on August 14, 2017, there was a unanimous vote to ask the county commission and begin the circulation of a petition to remove the Confederate statue and move it to another location. The NAACP and others have circulated petitions to gauge community support. We would like to come back at a later date to present the names of local residents in support of the statue's removal. The NAACP has suggested the formation of a committee or the development of a community forum to give the public a chance to give opinions of concern or support. The committee's development would be to generate ideas of approach to the issue and present it before the county commission after a 3-month period to allow the commissioners and judge executive to decide what to do. The purpose of the suggestion of the statue's removal is to demonstrate the progress of our city and county over the past 117 years. This is not an attempt to erase, I'm going to repeat, it's not an attempt to erase or to sanitize history, but with integrity of the story that the statue represents. Use this as an opportunity to put our history in its proper context with respect of all of Owensboro's citizens. This could be an opportunity to begin a Civil War exhibit at the museum or provide an honored dedication to our actual Civil War soldiers buried at one of our local cemeteries. Removing the statue will not stop racism or bigotry, but it can start a dialogue of communication about the role of our community in the Civil War. It can also be used as a teaching tool for our children that improper use of Confederate monuments, flags, and symbols as a means of hate and intimidation will not be tolerated in our community. I've shared with the judge executive how I have been followed by those who display the Confederate flag and intimidated to make me feel threatened. And I'm pretty sure people have seen these individuals driving around town. And for someone who is a minority, we have a very different experience. And there is nothing that you can do about it because everyone has the right to free speech. So I think it's important that we teach other people not to use the Confederate memorabilia, whether it be a flag or a monument, out of context and as a means of hate or intimidation. Because the minority community is so small within our area, we have a responsibility as community leaders to take the lead towards racial reconciliation and to protect the most vulnerable within our community. The statue is a part of our community and it cannot be changed, and that will never be changed. But the honor of the Confederacy on our courthouse lawn is and has always been inappropriate. So I ask the commission to consider our request made to you today, and thank you in advance for your time and your interest.
Don't you just love that woman? That's why we, all right, hey, no. I ask that we don't do that. Both sides don't do that. We're not gonna, I see some of you folks back there, and that was the silent protest, so let's keep it silent. Pastor, thank you for that, and as you and I have talked several times,
Yes.
and you're right, the minority community is a small part of this community, and that's why I've said many times, you're welcome to bring the petition. It's not necessary. I think that we understand how folks on both sides feel. But I'm certainly, if you want to bring it back, you're quite welcome to bring it back. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I have there's a group of folks right here. I'm going to ask you to send a spokesman up if you want to speak. Identify yourself, and please, I'm not going to limit your remarks, but be as brief as my favorite pastor is. Are you that brief on Sunday? No. Oh, I didn't think so. Doggone it.
Well, thank you all tonight. It's such a privilege to be here tonight and stand before this court and this crowd. I first want to thank the pastor for her kind words and everyone that came out tonight. Thank you very much for that.
Could I get your name?
My name is Lance Howard,
Okay.
and I am commander of Forest Orphans Camp, 1744 Sons of Confederate Veterans.
Okay, and your address.
And my address is 2375 Kentucky 1046, Calhoun, Kentucky. Again, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak to this court. I stand here tonight very gratified and also very saddened. I'm first gratified that we yet live in a country where everyone has a voice. Everyone has a voice, has the right to speak their opinion in a peaceful and nonviolent way. That's a wonderful thing that we still have that opportunity. I'm saddened tonight because I see all around, not only maybe in Kentucky, but all around our country, I see monuments and statues that are being removed and unfortunately in some cases destroyed or damaged or defaced. That's unfortunate because those statues, those monuments are there for a particular reason. They're there to honor our past, our heritage, and good men and women that have served this country well in a variety of ways. Also, in a very diverse amount of people that have served this country in a very positive and successful way. So I'm saddened by that tonight. I'm saddened by the fact that we find ourselves, as the organization that we are, Sons of Confederate Veterans, in a position to where we very often, almost constantly now, have to stand in defense of such said monuments and said statues. I do understand to a certain degree the reluctance for some to allow statues to continue to stand in public venues. However, those statues in most cases have stood there for decades, if not centuries, and we certainly do seek to prevent the removal of those statues, whether that is a removal by force, if that is a removal by destruction, if that is a removal by simply taking it and putting it somewhere else. The sheer act of removing that statue degrades it. It defames it. It says that statue does not represent something that's worthy of being on public view, at least not in this particular venue. We don't want to see that happen, and if you'll forgive me, I'm at the age now to where I have to pull these out of my pocket and put them on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. I did want just a couple of things here real quickly. I'll try not to take up too much of the court's time. Let me say also for the record tonight that we stand, I think, I'm sure, with every person in this room, and when I say we, I mean the Sons of Confederate Veterans, against hatred, against bigotry, against racism of any kind. We do not tolerate it. We do not accept it. We certainly do not practice it. We do not in any way condone such behavior by anyone for any reason. We all know there's no excuse for that. That is not what our organization is about. That is not what, in our opinion, the monument that stands on this property is about. When I see monuments to our ancestors being torn down, spit upon as they have been, and disgraced, it truly breaks my heart. Confederate veterans are afforded, have been afforded, the same treatment as U.S. veterans by the federal government.
If this monument is removed from its place of honor, what next? We've already heard calls from around this country to remove monuments and statues to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and Christopher Columbus, among others. I don't know about any of you all here tonight. I cannot accept that without speaking out. Unfortunately, what we see is an attempt to move this along to include anyone that can be in any way tied to the slave past or racist past, and that eventually will lead perhaps to people, this has already been tried in Memphis, Tennessee, of people even being dug up from their burial places and removed. I do want to quote the great Nez Perce chief Hema Tuyalake, also known as Chief Joseph. I imagine most of you are familiar or have heard of Chief Joseph, very famous Nez Perce chief. Chief Joseph said, "A man that does not love his father's grave is worse than a wild animal." I believe those are poignant and true words. I would also very quickly like to read to you another quote from Martin Niemöller. Mr. Niemöller was a Protestant pastor in Nazi Germany, and he spent the last 7 years of Nazi rule in concentration camps. And he said, "First, they came for the socialists, but I was not a socialist, so I said nothing. Next, they came for the trade unionists, but I was not a trade unionist, so I said nothing. Next, they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew, so I said nothing. Finally, they came for me, and there was no one left to say anything." I quote this to you tonight in the hopes that it will show that once we start taking down monuments to Confederate veterans, veterans who have long and always been honored in this country with statues and monuments, this leads us down a slippery slope that can only end with others being removed as well.
Are you about?
I'm just wrapping up. Thank you. Again, sorry to take a little extra time, but there's something we're very passionate about. I do want to thank again the pastor, the people here tonight, and certainly I want to thank this court for the opportunity to say our piece. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much. We've heard from, I'm going to assume, the two sides here. Let me ask the folks out in the audience, those who would, Reverend Randolph, and believe in what she had talked about, would you stand up? Okay. And those with Mr. Howard, would sit down, folks. Now with those with Mr. Howard, stand up. Okay. Gives me a gauge of what's going on. It doesn't mean a whole lot. I just was trying to find out who in the courtroom was taking those positions. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight and speaking. I'm going to close that little part of the public meeting. Anyone else have anything that they would want to say on anything other than the internet and the monument? Okay. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you folks coming to support the causes that you believe in. I'm going to take Ms. Murtaza. Could I see you for just a little bit? I'm going to take a short break in the meeting because I don't want you to have to hang around. And Commissioner Caslin and I would like to speak with you. And Claude, I would like you to be in that meeting. We're just going to, I'm going to be gone 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And this has nothing to do with anything, so don't believe that. doggone newspaper people left too. Huh, imagine that.
You scared me.
I'm back. All righty. Jenny,
Yes, sir.
can we get started?
We can. Item 1, consideration for presentation, a proclamation, Recovery Month, September 2017.
Sarah Atkins is here. Sarah, I'm going to read this. I'm not going to read it Saturday. I'm just going to make some comments because probably the city will have the same doggone thing. But anyway, whereas behavioral health is an essential part of one's overall wellness, and preventing and overcoming mental and substance abuse disorders is essential to achieving healthy lifestyles, and whereas according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, in 2013, of all Americans 12 years or older, 24.6 million admitted the use of illicit drugs or illegal prescription type of psychotherapeutics. 21.6 million are substance dependent, and of these, 2.6 million were classified as both alcohol and illegal drug dependent. 66.9 million still use tobacco products. 43.8 million experienced a mental health illness, and of those, 34.6 million received mental health care treatment. Judy, if you're watching, we're not talking about you. Whereas, while many Americans still go without needed behavioral health treatment, recent changes to the U.S. health system are removing barriers, allowing access to essential mental health and substance abuse treatments, and many health plans must now offer coverage for those treatments. And whereas, to help more people achieve long-term recovery, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the White House, Office of Drug Control Policy, and the Daviess County Fiscal Court invite and encourage all citizens to participate in National Recovery Month. Therefore, I, Al Mattingly, Daviess County Judge Executive, do hereby proclaim in Daviess County, Kentucky, the month of September 2017 as National Recovery Month. Sarah Atkins from the Owensboro Regional Recovery is here. Sarah, if you'll come forward, I'll give this to you. And then I've got a couple of comments, and then I'll ask you. Oh, hold on, Sarah. The rest of the commission ought to come down here, don't you think? Come on.
I guess I'm warning.
Come on. Yep.
Or you can stand behind her with bunny ears.
Mess up the picture.
Well, some of you commissioners mess up the picture. Oh, quit laughing over there, Austin, yeah. I thought Austin would be a picture. I mean, I got a picture of all these other folks. I'm gonna steal his. Oh, okay. We better not be as pretty. You folks have heard me talk about substance abuse before and how it affected my family. I don't think there is any socioeconomic strata in our community that has not been affected and is not affected. And I don't think my neighbors, as long as I don't identify them, my neighbors even had a grandson who I was sharing with you, they've got that young man to the healing place. And certainly we need enforcement and treatment, but we need more recovery facilities because we have an epidemic in this community. And you know, while we fill the courtroom talking about that statue out there, isn't it amazing how empty the benches are when we're talking about something that touches each and every one of us so strongly? So, Sarah, I will be there Saturday at 10 o'clock. Is that when it starts?
10 o'clock.
It's welcome home, all the families and the folks who have gone through and the families of those who are there currently.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to have hot wind bags from the city and the county talking to them. I've invited the commissioners. If they're there, you'll set them up on the stage in the hot sun and allow them to speak.
We
So,
sure will.
go ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you on behalf of my role is Director of Owensboro Regional Recovery, and I'm also the Secretary Treasurer of Daviess County Treatment Providers, which is a group of substance abuse service providers here in Owensboro and Daviess County. So I just want to say thank you for recognizing September as Recovery Month. I also want to share that we've actually planned 4 events. The first one is tomorrow evening. It's a walk on the Greenbelt. It starts at 8 o'clock. We will it's a candlelight walk. It will end with a ceremony of remembrance for people who have lost their lives to substance use.
Where does it start?
It starts at where the Greenbelt crosses Byers Avenue, and we're providing parking at Owensboro Regional Recovery. It ends at Owensboro Regional Recovery, so we're providing parking and shuttle service to the beginning of the walk. So we'd like to invite anyone. It's, of course, open to the public. Everyone is welcome.
What time again?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And then
Are you
on
providing the candles, or should we bring
Yes.
our own?
No, we'll provide actually, they're battery operated.
That's
So.
good. We don't allow Commissioner Castlin to play with fire.
Okay, good. Then on Saturday, Judge Mattingly's already mentioned our events, the Recovery Celebration and Alumni Day at Owensboro Regional Recovery. It is a free event, open to the public. We have free T-shirts, free food, bounce house games for the kids, horse and pony rides, a volleyball tournament, a cornhole tournament. We will have speakers at the beginning, of course, to kick our day off at 10 a.m., and that event is from 10 to 5. We appreciate everyone coming, and please share, and it is very family friendly, so bring the kids. We'd love to see everyone. And then on September the 15th, next Friday, we have a speaker coming in. Her name is Tonier Kane. She is a trauma survivor and is a national advocate for trauma-informed care. And she will be providing a program mainly aimed at professionals, substance abuse and education, and child welfare professionals. This takes place at the hospital. There is a charge. It's $25 to attend, and if anybody would like to attend, please just get with me. You can call me 270-689-0905, or my email is satkins@audubon-area.com if you'd like to register.
Expect me to remember that.
Yeah. And then the last event we have for Recovery Month is September 29th. It is a resource fair at St. Joe and Paul Parish Hall, and that is for people who are in recovery and their families to learn about resources that are available to them in Owensboro. We have a lot of resources in Owensboro for people who are in recovery. So this is going to have information about health care, about substance abuse programs, about support groups, about employment, education, banking, all kinds of stuff. So we'd be happy to see everyone there. It's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on September 29th at St. Joe and Paul.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'd like that. What's that phone number again, please?
270-689-0905.
Like you can. I know that's some continuing education.
Continuing education,
involved, but
yes.
If you just want to come and see the speaker, you can just pay that fee and
Sure.
watch.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm sure she's got great credentials.
Yeah, she's on YouTube. If you just go on YouTube and search, her name is Tonier, Tonier Kane. There are several videos of her on YouTube, and her story is absolutely fascinating. So we're looking very forward to having her here.
Anything else, Commissioners?
I just want to thank you, Sarah, for your
you.
role in our community. As the judge says, this touches each of us that's present and everybody that was here and that walked out already.
Yeah.
It touches each of us some way or another, and I appreciate what you do. Let me ask you, if someone wants to get into OR, how might they go about that?
They first need to make a phone call to that number that I just gave.
689-0905.
689-0905. And we start there. We do a short interview over the phone, and that gets the process rolling.
Okay.
So
And can family members do it on behalf of an addicted person, or does
we have to talk to that person himself at some point. Family members can certainly call, and we will answer their questions, but at some point we will have to talk to that person himself.
Okay.
So
Anything else? Okay. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
See you Saturday.
thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Next item.
B. Daviess County Public Libraries 2017-18 tax rate.
Commissioners, you have in your packet, you have the Daviess County public tax rates as voted on by their board. As you might notice, the compensating rate for real property was 6.5 cents. They elected to remain the same at 6.4 cents. The tangible personal property and everything else, if you look, actually went down from 8.39 to 8.04. Their estimated revenue that would be generated in 2016, 2017 is $4,538,000, which is pretty close to what was generated last year. We do not vote on this. This is a presentation. If anyone would like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you up there.
I said you're
I'm
making
doing
it
a good
easy
job,
for me
though.
tonight.
Eric, thank you. If anyone wants to see this, then you're welcome to come to our office. Now,
Well,
identify yourself.
I'm Erin Waller. I'm the director of the Daviess County Library, and I'm here to present our tax rates. And as the judge said, we're going to accept the compensating rate. And as you can see, some of those have gone down a little bit. So we're happy to sort of announce that. I think that's good news for everyone.
That is good
Yes.
news. I think all the citizens in Daviess
Yes.
County are pleased with
Yes.
that. As well as I think we were disappointed to see the bids that came in on that total project. But I think probably you're fiscally doing the right thing and doing the little bit of remodeling inside and looking
Yeah,
at it.
we were disappointed by that, but we're feeling good about the direction that we're moving with the project. I think we've made some good changes over the past year and a half, and we're going to do what we can.
Well, and I do absolutely was pleased to see that you're looking at taking programming out into the community.
Oh, yes.
As we have talked about in
Yes.
the past, because it's, the funny thing is this, that while we all love the library, not everybody is comfortable with coming to the library.
Right.
But they're comfortable maybe going to their school or their church or the Neblett Center or, the prisoners at jail. We don't let them out to
Right.
come to the library. So I'm very pleased to see
Yes.
us being more progressive in
Yes,
in
and
that manner.
we've got a staff member out in the community probably once a day doing something at some place. So we're happy with our partnerships. We're happy with the way our project's going, and
Good.
things have been going good. So
Mr. Caslin, you are liaison. I'll give you first chance to say anything if you have any statement.
I just want to thank Aaron and also the board members for their diligence they've shown over the, I guess, the last 6.5 years in my involvement of being a liaison commissioner to the library. I attend most of their board member meetings, and I think generally they do a good job. I am glad, as you know, and the board members are very well aware that we did not support the big expansion you were going towards, and that's been rolled back to a remodel, and I appreciate that decision.
thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Commissioners?
I'll just say congratulations on not raising the tax rate. We share that as a high priority.
Yes.
We think it's important, and so.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah, and I'm now a property owner in Daviess County,
Yeah.
so
So thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Yeah.
While I'm at it, let me say thank you to Polly Reynolds, the chair, who will be going off the board this month, and to Luatus McNeil, who took a job in northern Kentucky. I think he
That's right.
jumped up pretty nicely. They were good members, and they're going to be hard to replace. If you would, and if you have time in the morning, give me a call. I'd
Okay.
like to. I have received a list of members
You
to
did.
appoint
Okay,
to the
good.
board. But I'd like to discuss those.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I will. I'll do
All
that
right.
first thing. Thanks. Anything else?
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Next item.
See FEMA Risk MAP update.
Mark, everybody has talked about this. Everybody knows what it is. What is it that you're going to say that's going to mean anything to us?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if any of it means anything to you.
All right. Do it.
All right. What I'm presenting is the current scope.
How much is this going to cost us?
We're getting to that proposal.
What are we going to get for our money?
We'll get to that also.
You're really proud of this presentation, aren't you?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Want to go over briefly with the court and let them know and keep them up with the current status of the FEMA Risk MAP that's being updated currently. The last time they were updated, the process started around 2006, 2007. The maps were adopted in 2009. I think we're all probably familiar with that adoption. There were several houses that were brought into the floodplain. There were several houses that were brought out of the floodplain. That is what is being done again as far as the update. Obviously, we're at the beginning of the process. I expect several months.
Can I interrupt you just a
Yes, you
second?
may.
You need to emphasize that they're not brought into the floodplain or they're not taken out of the floodplain. They either are or are not in the floodplain. It just depends on what the data here shows. And so when people say, you updated your maps and you put me in the floodplain, nobody put them in the floodplain. They were already there.
I think that's how the question is always addressed to us, and you are correct. Either you're in the floodplain or you're not. Sometimes the maps reflect that, sometimes they do not. What FEMA is doing with this risk map update is updating models in some areas, updating elevation in the entire lower Green River watershed. So that's where I wanted to begin. This, as you all are probably familiar with, is the floodplains for Daviess County. Three different
In the blue?
Three different shades. The darker blue is the floodways. We'll say the medium blue is the floodplain, and then the lighter blue or aqua is what is still the floodplain, but they do not have detailed models, so they're considered Zone A, which means they don't have the detailed model, so they don't have the exact base flood elevation.
And Mark, if you would go ahead, for anybody that might be watching at home, explain what the two white things are and also the black clump in the city of Owensboro.
Okay. Well, the black across the entire county are the roads, trying to give everybody a point of reference. The white areas are the two incorporated cities in Daviess County. Obviously, the bigger one being Owensboro. The lower one to the right is the city of Whitesville. What FEMA is doing with this update is updating the lower Green River watershed. That is what is all encompassed in the red. That is everything that drains directly to the Green or to Panther Creek. If nothing else, that area will be updated with what is called LIDAR information. Stands for light, distancing, and ranging. Before 2009, the maps were based on 10 and 5 foot contour. In 2009, those maps were updated to 1 and 2 foot contours. The LIDAR information should update our maps to about 3 to 4 inch accuracy elevations. So we're going to get, if nothing else, that area will have the new LIDAR information. So the base flood elevations may stay the same, the models may not change, but the elevations may get a whole lot more accurate. So that will cover the entire lower Green River watershed.
What did you say that LIDAR stands for?
Stands for light, distancing, and ranging.
Is that they use radar? Not infrared.
It's a laser.
Laser.
Yes, from an airplane.
I don't know why I couldn't come up with laser. My mama said never point one at somebody, so we did.
There you go. Just in general, to give everybody an idea, what is in yellow on this map shows the major waterways for the lower Green River watershed. They stretch from one side to the other, obviously. You'll all be familiar with Panther Creek North, South, Panther Creek. This is Rhodes Creek North. Studied a lot of these in our Stormwater Master Plan, both Phase 1 and 2. As a baseline, the existing scope for the Division of Water for this update. This is what they have under contract. Division of Water is going to, what they're doing is our Stormwater Master Plan Phase 2. We had the Corps of Engineers model North Fork, South Fork, and Panther Creek, and then Rhodes Creek North. So the Division of Water, we have given them those models. Division of Water is going to utilize those models for the new firm updates. They're taking ours and replacing the older models. it meets all the criteria of the Corps because the Corps did it. So we're saying we've done the models, we're going to give you our models. So with that, the Division of Water and FEMA is actually putting a lot of money in the study to update as much as they can. Phase 1 of our Stormwater Master Plan was done 2013, I believe. It was not as detailed of a model as Phase 2. They didn't put boots on the ground. They didn't survey. They did all of that modeling based on LIDAR that was done. So those models are also being leveraged, but the scope currently is for them to get back into those models, actually do some survey work, get elevations on bridges, pipe sizes, ditches, and update the models. That is the current scope. I want to focus on these green areas in the current scope. They are currently just going to have new LIDAR added. They were not going to be reran. Models were not going to be updated. They were just going to have updated elevations. What we are proposing is that Horse Fork, Harsh, Gates, and Big Ditch. If you'll see the fee here for $40,000, while Division of Water, while FEMA, while their contractor is redoing the models, they noticed that a lot of work has been done in Daviess County, in the city of Owensboro. We're all familiar with the approximately $30 million that the city spent to reduce flooding. Daviess County has also made some major projects, a couple of them being Gillis Ditch on the west side, another one being Horse Fork Park, that retention basin on that park. So they noticed these changes. They were not in the scope because they were not known about from the Division of Water and FEMA, but they do think that these basins that were put in are significant enough to affect the floodplains. So for $40,000, if you'll notice, they would come in and actually survey these basins. This is the one on the Horse Fork Park. Here are some basins next to Coles, out off of 54. There's here's Harsh Ditch. You'll notice all these basins. This is the Country Club. This is across from Chautauqua. This is out by Christian Church. This is the basin, Big Lake behind Sunrise Drive. This is behind the fire department off of Breckenridge. And this is another basin that was just put in the old farm or fairgrounds.
Hathaway and
Yes.
20th, 21st.
That's correct.
Fairgrounds.
So they saw all of these basins, and they do believe that they'll have a positive impact on the maps. So they brought it to our attention. Here's the basin off of Big Ditch, off of Carter Road, next to, I believe, Keeneland subdivision. Tommy Thompson subdivision. Here is the city basin that was built several years ago off of Gates Ditch. So they picked up all of these, but they were not in the scope of what they had under contract. So for $40,000, we can pay them to add these, survey them, add them to the models, rerun the models. They think they're big enough to affect those models. Sherm Ditch, very large. I think it's 18 acres. Along Sherm Ditch. If you recall that they were not going to redo anything as far as models on Sherm Ditch. They were just going to slap the updated LIDAR information. So it cost a little bit more because they didn't have surveying and so forth in the original scope. But they would include this basin that was behind, I think, the Home Builders Association building. This large basin along Sherm and Barron Drive. They would also, significant amount of infrastructure put in by the city of Owensboro up and down Sherm Road. They would also look at the Tamarack Ditch. It's a large ditch. And then the ditch along Carter Road. They think all of these would have a positive impact on the maps. When I say positive, I don't necessarily mean They'll lower the base flood elevation. We think they will, but if nothing else, we'll have more accurate maps. So people will have a better idea if they're in the floodplain. The final one is Gillis Ditch. 2001, the county built a large basin, 30-acre basin, along Lee Rudy Road. For $40,000, they can come in, add that basin to the model, survey it, rerun those models. They think it's large enough that it would also have an effect on the downstream floodplain. Go ahead.
What about that basin over by Greystone, right by that?
Within Greystone, there are several basins throughout the county that I didn't mention.
But they'll incorporate that in the...
We will ask that they look at them. Okay. Certain sizes, if they're a half acre, may not be worth the money, may not be worth the time. But these larger ones, you're right, Greystone is a very large basin. So we'll ask them to look at it and see if it's something they should include in their models. The goal that we're looking for is obviously they're in the process of updating these maps. This would give us a comprehensive update that includes all the improvements that the city and county have done in the last 15, 20 years. If nothing else, we'll have significantly more accurate maps. Also, it would increase the public awareness to reduce risk to life and property. These maps prevail or present that information in a map form for people to hopefully easily understand, and it'll effectively communicate those risks through these maps. That's all I've got as a presentation. If you got any questions, be glad to help.
The total then was 40, 40, and 80, 40, 40, and 60.
Yes.
So 140,000 originally. I think we were talking about 160.
Yes.
And commissioners, this has kind of come about because in conversations with the city engineer and our county engineer, we felt that it would be foolish to spend $40,000 and have these other large areas and all the work that we had done not incorporated in this latest study. And I think that in talking with Mayor Watson, the city was willing to split the cost of this between city and county. And while probably those folks inside the city will get a greater benefit from it, we have to remember that all 100,000 folks, including those who live in the city limits, are county residents, and water really knows no boundary when it comes to flooding. So I felt that it was a good thing to do. It gives us very accurate information. And as I said, it's not going to put anyone in the floodplain that's not already there. It's not going to take anybody out that's there, but we will have good and accurate information. And as I think, Mark, you said, wouldn't you want to know if you're going to buy a house, if you're going to build a house, wouldn't you want to know the best information? So, Mark, I don't know, and I guess, do you have the money in your budget?
I can look hard.
All right. If you have it in your budget, I think we talked about it, and then remember what I said, if you've got it in your budget, I'm going to look harder next year because you're dogging the budget when you bring it to me.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So now you really are in trouble. Commissioners, any question or comment?
I do have one question. What kind of time frame are we talking about?
The last time they were updated, I was at the city of Owensboro at that time. They sat down in 2007, and like I said, they were finally adopted in 2009. So we're year plus from actually getting the maps. They've already done a significant amount of work. That's why they brought it to our attention. They've already had surveyors on the ground, taking shots, taking measurements. That's when they saw this additional work that they didn't have in their records. So I suspect over a year before. They still have to do, if you remember, they have several meetings across the community. They present these out. Questions are brought up. Things are brought to their attention. They go back and look at questions and concerns that the citizens have. So I would
It's a
suspect over a
two-year-
year.
It's a two-year process from beginning to end, basically, because I know in '07, we started it, we presented it to community in '08, and then after I left, it was adopted in '09, so, I mean, that's pretty quick, really. I would tell you that a lot of the information they're going to be using is a result of all the work that we did in phase 2 of our stormwater master plan.
Yes, and I didn't emphasize on that much, but we're leveraging our stormwater master plan. We're giving them something of value, so they're participating in value
It's costing
for our
us
updates.
It's costing us less money.
Yes.
Mr. Caslin?
When you talk of this money and each one of the cost of each one of these proposals, are we paying that to the Corps of Engineers? Are we paying it to FEMA? Who are we paying it to?
Well, how the process would work is currently the Division of Water already has a contractor, an engineering firm under contract to do this work, that original scope of work. I've already talked to them about the Division of Water, has told me that they are capable of doing a MOA with the county and or the city for this additional work, so it would kind of be funneled through the Division of Water through that MOA. The contractor would do the work, they would invoice the Division of Water would just pass on that additional work, that invoice to us, and we would pay it. They're up in the air as far as who needs to be in the MOA, whether it's city, county, or both. That's really kind of up to us locally. They just need someone to be in that MOA.
That's what I was going to say. We probably need to do an MOA between the city and the county, and we can designate if the city will be the fiscal agent, then we would just pay our portion to the city or vice versa.
And I have that scope of work. That's what is represented in this presentation. We have the scope of work written up. We just need to be able to tell them, yes, we proceed, and they would get that MOA ready for us.
Anything else?
Judge?
Oops,
Oh,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry,
Charlie.
Commissioner, go ahead.
Ultimately, by doing this and including these other basins and such, are you expecting that these blue areas will shrink? Is that ultimately what the outcome might be? That they give us credit for the basin and all the ditches as well, and the capacity that they can hold? Is that ultimately what we're looking at?
I would expect it to. Everything trends that way, whether it's a couple of inches or a couple feet. Obviously, you don't know until the miles are run. But everything being said, you know how basins work. They hold that water back. They change hydrographs. It does. We expect it to have a positive impact as far as that. Now, it's going to change regardless because of the LIDAR.
Right.
What we're doing here is making it as accurate as we can, expecting it to minimize the floodplain.
Okay, Commissioner.
Yeah, Mark, thank you for the detailed presentation. I feel like that the price that we're paying, we won't get done any cheaper. And one thing I'd like to see when I was studying this on the basins, there's several huge basins that's been left out behind. I know Green River Drive toward the bypass. There's one huge one there that looks like it could be 5 or 10 acres. I know all these help with flood. In the beginning, when they started installing these, there was a lot of thoughts that we didn't need them, but they have helped. And I would just like to say that of any that's not on here presently, or any that you may find that could add to this list, could only help the future, because we have so many subdivisions and all going in that's required. And I don't know whether it be half acre, whatever, but just say if an acre was a limit, you know, it don't take too many acres to make 10 acres. So, and as Commissioner Casson talked, when you look at the graphs, it may help some in some areas, and it may not. I think it'd just be more divided, and it'll be what it'll be. But those are just things that I've seen on the catch basins that I felt like we needed to add that are very sizable.
And I will bring up those to their their contractor. Don't know if they'll accept them. They'll have to make those judgments. This is what they do across the state, so I think they have a pretty good handle on when they start making a difference and when they don't. But yes, I will bring up that basin and Greystone Basin. Those are extremely large basins.
Mr. Brasher, I'll leave it up to you to take care of getting together with Jenny and Claude, preparing the memorandum and bringing it to court whenever we need to act officially on it. But the consensus I have, I think, is that the commission, fiscal court, is willing to partner with the city.
We'll proceed in that direction. I think the Division of Water probably has a standard MOA that I'll get to the county attorney's office.
Any other question or comment?
Just a real fast one.
Okay.
I want to make sure everybody understands, one of the LiDAR is going to improve the accuracy, but also they're going to do a lot of surveying. So, you know, like pipes and ditches and under bridges and a lot of those things for the model, which is is a big factor why this becomes so much more accurate. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that.
At some point, hopefully, we will have a model where if somebody says, I'm going to put a subdivision in, you can plug the acres that it's taking, and it'll spit out how much retention you need.
I've had that
And the
conversation
effect,
with
yes.
the Division of Water, and those models are available.
Yes.
We're paying for them. So, no, we can use them.
Yeah.
RWRA can use them. City of Owensboro can use them. They're very detailed models.
Okay. No other questions, no other comments? I don't think we have any public left. Vicky, you're sitting over there. Now that he's finished, you wanted to go home about 30 minutes ago, and I was trying to get him to hurry up, and now you can go home. I wonder if FEMA's doing a LiDAR down in Houston or down in Florida right now. That's a mess. Next item, Jenny.
2, consideration for approval, minutes of the August 17th, 2017 court meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the minutes in your packet for some time. Any questions or comments, any deletions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Motion approved.
Second.
Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession. Any questions of the treasurer at this time? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
C, Greenbelt Park easement for shared pathway access, ingress, egress, covenants and conditions and restrictions with Owensboro Health Medical Group Incorporated.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, as you know, we have been working, Mark and Claude, with the hospital for quite some time trying to get an agreement for an easement for this shared pathway. I think they put in about 15 pages, what should have been 1 page or 2 pages. Anyway, Claude, thank you. Mark, thank you. This is what we needed to start or move forward on the shared use path. Is that correct, Mark?
This is one of the final stages we've been waiting on.
Okay. Any question or comment? Being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
D, agreement with Lanham Brothers General Contractors Incorporated for the Judicial Center Family Courtroom Renovation Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Johnson, are you talking about this, or Claude, do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to tell you what it is? It's a standard AIA agreement for the construction or renovation of the Judicial Center for the family courtroom, and it's pretty much lays out the entire detail and scope of work.
Yes, but it is at this point just for the courtroom.
Just for the courtroom,
We
right?
hope we may be able to talk with the contractor, with AOC, and the court to
Incorporate some other things that need to be done.
some additional work. Yes.
Any question or comment? Being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
E, county request and agreement for litter abatement program grant funding.
Motion approved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, this is where we're begging for some money. I think, David, we use this to pick up trash along our highways and byways.
Yes.
Typically, we have not-for-profits who are coming out and doing this, correct?
Correct. This funds our Trash for Cash program.
And do you know what the amount of money is?
We only know after the fact. They distribute the money out of the $1.75. It varies somewhere between 55 and 65,000 a year.
Okay. Question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
F, Davis County Solid Waste Management Plan 2018 through 2022, and Resolution 16, 2017, adopting said plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, this is it's the same plan with some changes that were mandated by solid waste, and
Yes, this is a required update every
Right.
5 years. So I think this is the 6th solid waste management plan, and so it's
question or
just
comment?
a standard form.
Hearing none, all in favor? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say, you know, every now and then we have folks push us to do more to be environmentally friendly.
They don't have a clue that where we're at, do they?
I thought, you know, they really ought to come in and read this or go online and read it, because it's pretty impressive. And sometimes the comments that are made about Davis County government, I think are made almost from an uninformed standpoint.
You think?
Yes, and I think they ought to take time to read this document, and they might say, holy cow, I didn't know y'all did all that.
There are a lot of things that we do and contemplate doing and look at doing to be environmentally friendly. Sometimes it doesn't satisfy my Sierra Club friends.
Right.
But at least we're trying. We could take the attitude we don't really give a hoot. But
Right.
I think this is a mandate by the state, specifically if we have a solid waste disposal system. So, any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, Resolution 17, 2017, supporting the separation of the Kentucky Employees Retirement System from the Kentucky Retirement System.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'm not going to read the entire resolution. I'm going to read the last. Now therefore be it resolved by the Davis County Fiscal Court that it urges Governor Matt Bevin, the Kentucky General Assembly, to protect the retirement benefits promised to members of CERS. Davis County Fiscal Court joins the Kentucky Association of Counties in urging the General Assembly to pass legislation and urges Governor Bevin to sign such legislation separating CERS from KRS and establishing a separate and independent board of trustees chosen by the members and participating employees of CERS to govern the affairs of CERS and fulfill the fiduciary duties to the members of the system. Commissioners, we've all attended the various meetings of CAECO, the Judge Executive Association, the Magistrates and Commissioners Association. This probably is the #1 issue on their minds right now. I know our Senator Joe Bowen had a bill there that was about separating the various funds. The governor asked him to hold up pending a special call session to deal with tax reform and the pension. It's really late in the year. I doubt, I would be surprised if we have that now. Mr. Hendricks, you just received a letter today from the system. Would you, for the public's benefit, let them know what's coming down the road?
Yeah, late this afternoon, the payroll people and treasurers and I believe elected officials, you probably got one now.
Yes.
From the commissioner with the pension, it's kind of related to what we've been talking about, but it was, some version of this was going to happen anyway, based on the reevaluation they did months ago. So just to summarize it, for fiscal year 19, we're in fiscal year 18. The current rates we use for non-hazardous, Davis County Fiscal Court pays a 19.18%. That will go to 28.86% for fiscal year 19. Hazardous, we currently pay 31.55. That will go to 50.67% for the following fiscal year. That impact on Davis County Fiscal Court is approximately $1.3 million increase. In addition to that, the Sheriff's Department will get hit for about another $400,000, which will come to you because you fund the Sheriff's Department. So you're looking at potentially $1.6 million, $1.7 million if these numbers hold where they are.
Would you, are you prepared to share what the KRS numbers are?
I didn't print that email. They were substantial, though.
$1.25 roughly. KRS called, you have it?
I don't know what the new rate is. The current rate is about 49%,
Okay.
so it will be about.
Non-hazardous, it's my understanding it's gonna go to $1.25, something like, I'm sorry?
They're about 80% now, so that's probably there.
Okay,
The KERS is probably more.
yeah. It's substantially more. Of course, they are less well-funded than CERS, so.
And I have employees in both of those
And
systems.
you,
so-
yes, so, folks, it's, this commission has been very fiscally conservative. Everybody asks, why do we have a lot of money in reserve, and we don't have a lot of money based on the requirements of whatever that government agency is, rating agency, bonding agency. But I can tell you that next year, we're gonna be hard pressed to balance our budget without dipping deeply into our reserve. So, now, that assumes that there is nothing done by the General Assembly in adopting some of the modifications that were proposed. And quite frankly, there are some that are onerous to the people who are retired or contemplating retirement. I really don't think, and I think you read Senator Bowen's piece in the paper, I don't think the rollback of COLAs and those kinds of things will happen. But the state of Kentucky has they have a problem, and then that problem trickles down to local governments. So we have a proposed resolution in front of us. Do I have any question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
H, Joint City-County Resolution Number 18, 2017, expressing hope and recovery to victims of Hurricane Harvey and those in the path of Hurricane Irma, commending and continued relief efforts by public and private heroes across this great nation, and extending our heartfelt request to all citizens of Owensboro, Daviess County to pray for and support those affected by these tragic disasters.
I'm sorry, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you all have a copy of the resolution. I want to thank Mayor Watson for suggesting that the city and county pass this jointly. We certainly send our heartfelt thoughts and concerns to those people who just went through Harvey in Houston and now Irma coming up the Florida coast. I know I have a sister who lives north of Miami that I am concerned about. I'm not going to read the resolution. Suffice it to say that our hearts are with them, and we as a county, and I know the city, will do anything and everything that we can to help those folks. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I, release surety bond for Greater Vision Baptist Church.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Brasher.
Yes, Judge, this is the development off of Sutherland Road. I've had my office review the public improvements, and we recommend approval of the release.
Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
J, purchase a used automatic truck wash for the landfill.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Smith, just briefly.
Yes, as I had mentioned, this has been on a wish list for the solid waste department, was to get an automatic truck wash. A new one is prohibitively expensive. We were approached by a vendor that they had a used one, or a one that had been used that they were taking apart. They had serviced it. They said it's in great condition, and they offered us a price that we think is quite affordable. And this will enable us to make sure that undercarriages are washed appropriately, which makes safety inspections and repairs easier.
Price of $18,000, that includes installation, and they are going to guarantee that it's working properly.
Yes.
And to our satisfaction when they leave. There, on the other page, there is also a weep system, an installation of a weep system for $1,500 that allows the unit to be run in the wintertime so that it doesn't freeze up. And I would recommend that we buy that as well. So any question or comment?
I have one question,
Yes, sir.
Judge. Is there any kind of extended warranty you can get
No,
with
sir.
that?
No.
Because it's being used?
It's
Okay.
used, and they had no guarantee at all, and Commissioner Wathen and I said, so that means they turn it on and it doesn't work. We just bought something that doesn't work. They are guaranteeing that it will be working to our satisfaction and the way it's supposed to. Any other question? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
A, purchase 6 sets of turnout gear for the fire department.
Move to approve.
Have a motion and second. Commissioners, this is, and Chief, this was in the budget. And this is the equipment that the firefighters put on, and it's in effect personal protective equipment when they fight a fire. Right. Any question or comment?
I was just wondering why we call this equipment when we normally classify this as an apparatus. When it's in the fire department.
Apparati would be plural.
And for the fire department, it's got me kind of confused.
Commissioner, we've been here an hour and 15 minutes. You're getting a little goofy, so. But Chief, I'd like to know that. I'd like to know the answer to that question as well. Good enough. All right. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
L, award bid number 21, 2017, spray park equipment.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, this is for the spray park at Horse Fork Creek Park. I think originally we had about $365,000 allocated to it. We are going to buy the equipment ourselves. Mr. Brasher, where's our permit at with the state? Have you heard anything from them yet?
Yes, I believe we expect it within the next several
Okay.
weeks. They've
Okay.
called and they're processing.
We are certainly, our friends at IBEW, I've talked to them, and they're quite willing, I think, to come in and look at helping wire it up. I'm gonna talk to my friends, plumbers and pipe fitters, see if there's any piping to be done, that they wouldn't do that on a volunteer basis. We actually think we can save probably $150,000 by the time this thing is installed, and we can use that money to do the road work, to change the ingress and egress and make it a lot safer. I'm really excited about it because this park, Horse Fork Creek Park, is surrounded by subdivisions. That area is several major apartment complexes, so I expect this to be one of the most used parks in the county system. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Any question or comment? I would say that I stole Mr. Johnson's thunder in that he is recommending that we pay Recreonics an additional, $7,000? And why?
The low bid contained 3 major exceptions to the county outside of our acceptable range. The differential is less than 10% of the total price. Those exceptions include the nozzle material. They use a thermoplastic instead of brass. Their anchoring system is questionable, and their payment terms aren't exactly acceptable by the county.
Okay. Question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
M,
Oh, and by the way, the road department will be able to use all that excess labor that they've got out there this fall to do a lot of this installation. Go ahead. I just wanted to get that on the record. Is that correct, Mr. Engineer?
Well, it's not excess, but we will fit it in the schedule.
Okay. Go ahead, Jenny.
M, advertised for the following bids. Bid numbers 31, 2017 through 36, 2017, which include a new Class A fire engine for Whitesville Fire Rescue, a new HVAC system for the courthouse clerk's office, a new round hay baler landfill, a new 10.5-foot pool-type disc mower for the landfill, a new 10-wheel rake with kicker wheel for the landfill, and a massless GPS control system for CAT D6 landfill.
Do I have a motion?
Approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, this is just permission to advertise for these. All of these items are in the budget. Specifically, the new HVAC system for the courthouse clerk, if you recall, back in the spring and again in the fall, because of the system that we have here where you have to swap from one to the other, we always have those folks, because they're packed tightly, a lot of lighting, a lot of computers. They always complain, so we thought the best thing to do is place them on their own HVAC system. The hay baler, disc mower, and wheel rake are all part of the land farming that we're going to be doing out at the landfill. And a mastless GPS control system for the CAT D6 actually is something that I think we had to rent when we were doing out at the landfill. Now we won't have to rent it. We will have it available to us. We probably could have bought one for what we had to pay for the rent, but anyway, any question or comment? Chief, the fire engine for Whitesville, that's in the budget as well? Okay. And we're doing it, purchasing it through our whatever, right? I knew I couldn't keep him quiet.
Yes, sir. We had $200,000 in the budget on the county's portion. Whitesville agreed to, we're also trading in the old engine.
Right.
And Whitesville's agreed to pay anything above that price.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
And advertise for firefighter EMT if not filled internally.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. I am assuming that this is a replacement for a retirement, and you're probably, who's retiring?
Assistant Chief Steve Fuquay retired at the end of August.
And what we'll do is we'll move current employees, somebody up.
We'll be doing promotions sometime during this month, and then
Okay.
moving them up.
Any question or comment? Hearing, do you think that we'll get somebody out of our volunteers? That's where we like to find them coming, because we like to be growing them there.
We try and bring them out of the volunteer system, and the community college has the fire science degree program.
You steal any from the city?
We have.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to say that. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
O, advertise for utility laborer in the Department of Public Works if not filled internally.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. This is to replace one that has retired or quit,
Yeah, he resigned.
which is correct.
He's
Resigned.
he's leaving
Okay.
county government.
Okay. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
3 ordinances. A, second reading of KOC 620.47, 2017, 9/2017, an ordinance relating to the discontinuance of a portion of Old Wayne Bridge Road.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second, Commissioners, as you recall, and Claude, I don't know that you need to read it into the record. We did that last time. This is something we've been working on for how long, Commissioner? At least 2 or 3 years?
At least 2 years.
And we finally have everything in place. We've had the viewers look at it, and their comment was it does not affect anyone adversely. I'm happy to see that we are going to be able to move forward with it and get it off. I guess it was on the road index too, wasn't it, Mark? It was not. We'd already gotten rid of it.
It was not in the road index. We don't know if it was ever really discontinued.
Okay.
That's why we're going through the process.
So we're doing this anyway. All righty.
Mostly it's a matter of just making sure that we've done that.
Are there any copperhead snakes along this road? Because if there are, we may not get the votes I need.
I don't believe so. That's why it fits the criteria.
Okay. Any other question or comment?
They've all been smashed.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
B, second reading of KOC A.93, 2017, 10/2017, an ordinance relating to the adoption of the 2017 Daviess County tax rates.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Mr. Hendricks, I don't know, you read this into the record before, Claude. Does he need to read it again?
I'll just summarize that the court's electing to take the compensating rates, which leaves the real property rates at 13.5 cents, same as they are currently. They'll leave the motor vehicle and watercraft rate at 17 cents. Personal property rates are derivative of the real property, so recalculated, that actually drops down to 17.12 cents. So all of the tangible personal and other personal taxes are at 17.12, which there's the only reduction. They either stay the same, and that's it. No increases, no additional.
Commissioners, 7th year that we've not had to raise taxes. I hope I can say that next year. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Did we already do that thing that we were gonna do without, remember we were gonna amend the agenda?
Oh, yes,
We did that?
yes.
I didn't remember it.
H.
Oh, we didn't amend it?
No, we added it.
Okay.
4, consideration for discussion, A, other business to be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court.
Our streak remains intact.
If I did not add it, it would not have.
I know. Next item.
B, public comments.
And we have had public comment, so next item.
C, comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Caslen.
Pass.
Commissioner Wathen.
Pass.
Commissioner Colger.
I just want to compliment, since we've taken over mowing the grass and the beautification around us, it's really nice. It's nice to come see the beautiful flowers and all. So they've done just an excellent job. I feel like it's a good job on our part.
Our folks have really, you know, again, I've always called it the people's house. And to make them proud of it, we have to keep it nice, and we do a good job.
You know, sometimes they just don't get recognized, but I feel like at times they should be.
You're right. Just a couple comments, folks. Number one, don't mean to alarm anybody, but I got a letter from Clay Horton regarding finding West Nile virus in a couple of mosquito traps. Doesn't mean that it's a big issue. They just want to notify. Mark, would you tell the folks who are watching or listening what our policy on spraying has been this year and continues to be?
Sure. This year we bid that contract out. We rebid it out. We actually provided them a list of where they would be spraying. That was based on historical data, so we got a significant amount of all those that we've sprayed in the past.
These are trouble spots.
Trouble
These are
spots, hot spots.
Commonly, if you have a rain like we had last week, then people would have puddles and, yeah.
We've got those residential subdivisions. We got those on a 1-month rotation, so every month they get sprayed. So throughout the month, they may do the east side one week, the central the next week. So they're spraying for us pretty much every week, constantly. It's just one location will get hit once a month. Then we've got special events that get sprayed, romp, things of that nature. And then we've got county parks. They're sprayed, I believe, twice a month, and the gun club. So we've got a pretty significant list based on historical data that they are spraying for us constantly. So if there's any questions, or if someone feels that a spot's being missed, obviously please feel free to call me at the operations center and we can look into it.
And this is they're not sending out a warning or a notice. What they're saying is, as always, every summer, you shouldn't allow your children out without protection. If there are mosquitoes, you shouldn't be outside. I think in the evenings are the worst time. We do spray. Let me promise the public, we do spray. Typically, they will fall late in the evening, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So if you don't see them, it's probably because you're asleep.
And keep in mind that they're spraying from the road, from the public
And
right
they are
away.
spraying from the road.
Depending on wind and atmospheric conditions, it may go 100 feet, 200 feet onto someone's private property, but it doesn't reach these houses and driveways that are well off.
So what we want you to do is keep your gutters clean, so the gutters don't hold water, because stagnant water is where mosquitoes will lay their eggs and the new mosquitoes are hatched. The spraying, if you have standing water, I think the health department at one time had treatments for that standing water. They were just packets that you could buy, toss into the water, and that would help kill the larvae.
I believe they've got some again this year.
They still have that.
And if someone has concerns about their private property, there are several companies, I believe, in Owensboro that will actually come out and look at your particular situation and try to give you recommendations. If you want to hire them to spray and keep it down, there's plans for that.
If you think that you need it sprayed on a more regular basis, yeah. So just wanted to let you know that. The wolf is at the door. Did you write that up there? Our wolf dog is back home with the gentleman this evening.
At his
At his door, okay. I'm happy
But just,
that,
just not a correction, but
okay.
that was not a wolf dog.
No,
It was a dog.
It is a dog, and that was why they got it back, because based on the definition that we had, which was no definition, and all the data that we came up, anything less than 20, more than 25% is considered an exotic animal. Okay, so, or non-domestic. Really appreciate the folks who called and were very nice and kind in their comments. I would encourage everybody again to come to the Owensboro Regional Recovery Homecoming. It is something that affects folks, and if you would look at the families and the people who have graduated and the people who are there, you would realize what a real service that treatment center does and what a real boon it is for folks in Daviess County. I think 50% of those residents are reserved for treatment locally. The other 50% come from other areas. Congratulations to Art Magalinger, who was named the new jailer. Again, I want to publicly acknowledge all that Jailer Osborne did in his tenure. Art, you've got big shoes to fill. It was funny, we went out to the jail yesterday and somebody said, may I tell the jailer who's calling? And we said, it's the auditor. We're here to see if the new jailer is spending the money the way he should. Art wasn't there. But grand jury called him. He had a case that he had from when he was a detective with the city hall. I think that Art will make an excellent jailer. So if there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court without exception, we're adjourned.